This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show, Death of a Unicorn. You may have noticed over the years that unicorns have become very, very popular. In fact, if you go into any department store, you will be smothered by the image of a unicorn. We often see the unicorn associated with Pride Month. We often see the unicorn associated with children's products. But what people need to realize is that the unicorn is yet another occult symbol being normalized. All symbols that you see being normalized have a connection directly to the occult, whether it's the heart symbol for Baal, the unicorn, the all-seeing eye symbolism that we see all over the place. They are marketing the occult to society and normalizing the signs and symbols that used to be only seen in secret. And as society becomes dumber and dumber, this type of thing will become more and more normal. And of course, when you point these things out, everybody will call you a conspiracy theorist and say that you're crazy because they've already been indoctrinated with the signs and symbols, and they'll refuse to believe the actual meaning and significance to all of this. So there's a new movie called Death of a Unicorn. And of course, as all of these Hollywood films do, they always star the same people who are spell casting on you, who are also practitioners of witchcraft, sorcery, Satanism, magic, call it what you will. And this film stars Hollywood's favorite, Paul Rudd, right? Known as a sweetheart in Hollywood. You've probably seen Paul Rudd and you probably say, he's not in on it too, right? Well, of course he is. Here's Paul Rudd doing a different variation of the all-seeing eye symbolism. Here he is doing blatantly obvious all-seeing eye symbolism. In fact, here's fellow Satanists who I've exposed before, Ryan Reynolds, talking about Paul Rudd being named sexiest man alive. And of course, that's because of his contract with Satan.
Yes, Paul Rudd. I'm happy for Paul. He's aging backwards because of his contract with Satan. And he's aging backwards because of his contract with Satan.
And of course, this is how they get away with it out in the open, right? They use humor, which isn't really funny at all, but everybody in the crowd laughs because they're under hypnosis. And he says, well, that's because Paul Rudd doesn't age because of his contract with Satan. And how often do we hear all of these celebrities come out on television to talk about making deals with the devil, from Roseanne to Lady Barfbag Gaga to Bob Dylan, you name it. They openly admit that they've become famous because they've sold their souls, but they use humor, of course, and the audience is under such hypnosis that they don't even have the slightest idea of what is really happening in actual reality because they're living in a simulated one. So the film stars Paul Rudd. We see his connection with the all-seeing eye to the occult. And of course, the other person in the film goes by the name Jenna Ortega, who, well, I guess she has this in common with Paul Rudd, right? That's why Jenna Ortega was cast. Here's Jenna Ortega doing the all-seeing eye symbolism with the peacock. Of course, the peacock is another occult symbol. Even though it is an animal, they use the peacock just like they use the goat. The peacock is a symbol used in occult practices. Now, this is blatantly obvious, right? Here's Ortega with the peacock over one eye. Here's Ortega holding up a camera over one eye. In fact, here she is even wearing an eyeball on the red carpet on his shirt. We've seen other photos of Jenna Ortega doing the all-seeing eye symbolism. In fact, we've seen every single celebrity show us this like a gang sign, letting us know that they are all members of the same club. They are all members of the same fraternal orders, the same secret societies, and they all worship the same God, who is Lucifer. The all-seeing eye, the eye of Horus is what it means. So I'm going to play for you clips from this trailer to the new movie, Death of a Unicorn. And I want you to pay close attention because I will break down what the unicorn means after you see the trailer. And there are tie-ins with the unicorn and the Antichrist. And some of the themes you're going to see in this, of course, are all-seeing eye symbolism. You'll blatantly see as they go inside the all-seeing eye, you'll see the black and white symbolism. But one of the themes you're going to see is getting the deceased unicorn, right? The unicorn gets hit with a car as they're going to a party or a house of a big pharma company executive. And of course, they take what they find inside of the unicorn and they're able to cure cancer. They're able to cross-contaminate the unicorn's blood with human blood. And of course, the world is all healed now. They finally found the cure to cancer. And the Antichrist, I'm sure, will be revealed as the one who brings about the cure for cancer through technology as well. But here is the trailer for the new film, Death of a Unicorn.
It kind of felt like it was showing me something. I get this feeling I don't think we're supposed to be here.
And they care about a lot of things, not just pharmaceuticals.
I need you to act like everything is fine.
Is there something in your car?
What exactly are we saying this is, though?
I think we know exactly what it is. I don't think that we're supposed to have this.
We need to study it.
Whatever it is, it seems to be the cure for cancer.
That's the biggest one! An opportunity for greatness, for immortality. I've never been so alive!
So you could see the themes inside of the movie where it's almost like the unicorn is some type of mysterious being that upon its discovery, it's found that it can cure cancer, that it could do miraculous things. They show you the all-seeing eye symbolism deliberately there. They go into Jenna Ortega's eye as well in just the 2-minute trailer. And you see one of the characters deliberately, because remember, all the costumes and wardrobes they wear, they strategically choose. So you see one of the characters wearing the black and white Masonic duality shorts, as above, so below, right in the trailer, which we always see, right? We always see it, just no one pays attention to it. So what do we always see? We always see the unicorn. We see Taylor Swift dress up as a unicorn, right? Promote a unicorn, unicorn cats. We see Lady Gaga, dress up as a unicorn. The unicorn is a symbol we see all the time. And there's meanings to the unicorn that I will get into now, including the mentioning of it in scripture. But let's start with Manly P. Hall. Manly P. Hall, a very prominent Freemason who has many books on the secret teachings of all the ages, which is teaching of Freemasonry and the New Age cult that, of course, we've seen this New Age movement overtake Christianity over the years. And inside of his book, Manly P. Hall says, the single horn of the unicorn may represent the pineal gland or third eye, which is the spiritual cognition center in the brain. The unicorn was adopted by the mysteries as a symbol of the illuminated spiritual nature of the initiate, the horn with which it defends itself, being the flaming sword of the spiritual doctrine against which nothing can prevail. And there's words in there that should catch your attention. Third eye, right? The pineal gland, and of course, illuminated. All the secret teachings talk about these people who have this forbidden knowledge being the illuminated ones. But guess what? We have knowledge of what they have knowledge of now. We're aware that they exist, and we're aware of what they believe. And their foot is on the pedal to bring about this new world order faster than ever before because they're afraid of a great awakening happening. And when we look at the unicorn, we also can look to their favorite occultists, Aleister Crowley and Alice Bailey, who were involved in the occult, specifically involved in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And of course, if you don't know, they're both involved as well in Lucis Trust. That's right, Lucis Trust, formerly known as the Lucifer Publishing Company, which used to hold an address of 666 United Nations Plaza, which is now, of course, the address for the United Nations in New York City. And that's because the United Nations was really founded by Lucifer Trust. And then you see the connection between the UN and the New World Order. And of course, what's coming with the mark of the beast and the worship of the Antichrist. Remember, the theme of the United Nations is uniting all the world as one, which goes back to the Tower of Babel. That's what it goes back to. Man against God. Man was uniting against God. God is the one who divided the nations. And it doesn't just go back to Crowley and Alice Bailey when it comes to the United Nations. You can even see Madame Blavatsky's involvement in the Lucis Trust as well. So back to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which is the religion, the cult that these demons were involved in. There's specifically a ritual that once completed, because remember, in secret societies, they get initiated into degrees, right? You start off as a first degree. This even goes into Scientology. They graduate and move above. They go through rituals. They learn more knowledge. They get up to a 33rd degree member. They join other, even darker secret orders. But one of the degrees in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn involves a graduation and an initiation into the unicorn of the stars. And remember, Aleister Crowley says every man and every woman is a star. And I have a whole breakdown on the meaning and significance of a star and why everybody calls themselves a star over on my website, which was removed from this platform. Like, I'm sure this video will be removed as well. Perhaps I will upload it to the Hurting Humanity channel. If anybody out there missed it and wants to see it, make sure you're subscribed over there as well. So the unicorn is also a symbol of the Antichrist. In a lot of religions that centralize around deities, the unicorn is a symbol of transformation, right? When we think of the unicorn, I think a lot of people also just think of the Baphomet, right? Genderless unicorn. But it's also a symbol of the Antichrist. So the unicorn here is once again a symbol of transformation, for this unicorn seeks a better world through the purifying powers of destruction. Its purpose is that of the Hindu god Shiva, is to tear down and renew, which we see outside of CERN, of course. In both European and Oriental traditions, the unicorn is identified with the Messiah who comes when the world is in danger and who heralds the coming of a new and better age. We see the unicorn in reality, the symbol of a future conqueror who will bring peace to the earth. Who is this but the Antichrist, for whom the world waits unaware of his true nature? The horn growing out of the unicorn's head represents the third eye, or the all-seeing eye, as I said earlier. This tells us the truly satanic symbol of the unicorn when its horn is stated to be the third eye or the all-seeing eye, both of which are tightly tied to the worship of Lucifer in the original Egyptian mystery religions. In Celtic mythology and European folklore, a fabulous beast comes in the form of a horse with a single spiraling horn growing from the center of its brow. In alchemy, a symbol of the complete mastery of phallic sexuality by ritual intercourse and its conversion into the forces of pure visualization. And of course, alchemy, which is something that people think has to do with science, is something that is deeply rooted in the occult and occult practices and witchcraft. Now, when we hear some of those terms in there about the coming of peace, the world awaits peace on earth, we can think of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 2 through 3. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. The other mention in the Bible that should be noted in regards to a unicorn has to do with the book of Daniel and Alexander the Great. In Daniel chapters 8 and 11, Daniel describes Alexander the Great's actions. And in Daniel chapter 8, verse 5, it says, and as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between the eyes, which sounds a lot like a unicorn. And if you don't know, Alexander the Great did declare himself as God, which of course we know Freemasons believe that they are their own gods as well. And many did believe that Alexander the Great was the Antichrist. Well, he certainly shares some of the qualities of the Antichrist by declaring himself as God. So again, the unicorn symbolism is all around us. We see it used in the LGBTQ. We see them selling products at the grocery store with unicorns, at Target. I mean, everywhere you go, you will see a grocery store, whether it's a food product, a product being sold to kids, a toy, a t-shirt, everywhere, every single thing. You see sticker books with unicorns on it everywhere you go, and this is done by design. This isn't because suddenly the unicorn became popular and companies want to make money. That's not how this works. they're smothering you with occult symbolism to the point that you don't even notice that you're being smothered with it. And you think that it's perfectly normal to buy a shirt with a unicorn on it because you don't know what it actually means. So you think it has something to do with mystical magic. Well, I guess it does in a sense, right? But you really don't know the connection between what they're trying to tell you and what it really means when they're selling it to you on a t-shirt. The connection is the goal of the New World Order. A one world government with a one world leader and a one world religion. And this is Luciferian worship under the rule of the Antichrist. So the roots of this all go back to Crowley. They go back to Thelema. They go back to the Golden Dawn. And now we have a new movie coming out starring Illuminists, Paul Rudd, and Jenna Ortega. And what's the theme? They hit a unicorn in the road. They can't believe they hit some mysterious... Those unicorns are real. They can't believe it, right? As they look into the all-seeing eye of the unicorn, and what's discovered? As they research the deceased unicorn, they find that there's healing powers within the unicorn. The healing powers of something like cancer. Something, that the government has been giving us by putting soft metals and other things in our food for decades, right? But nobody wonders where and why it exists. They just want to get rid of it. And they don't realize if they change their diet and they change what they consume, and maybe if somehow we can avoid chemtrails, we could all avoid actually getting cancer. But don't worry, because what they're really telling you in that trailer is that eventually when the Antichrist does come, he will have the cure for cancer. And guess what? It'll probably be a shot that goes inside of your body. Again, as I mentioned, for anybody out there that wants to see the video about Aleister Crowley and the symbolism of the star, I will put it up on my Hurting Humanity channel. It's definitely a video that everybody out there should see so you have an understanding of why something like that's normalized. Why we just think a star is this five-pointed figure, which is really a pentagram. We think it looks like that up in the sky when it doesn't look like that. There's a lot of spiritual meaning to the star and why it's normalized, and that goes back to Aleister Crowley as well. So I'll leave the link below for my Hurting Humanity channel. Make sure you're subscribed now if you haven't yet, and look out for that video over there. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.